Welcome to Daily Dose Radio, a 5-minute devotional podcast studying the Psalms verse by verse. Broadcast from the ever-beautiful Sharonville, Ohio, on the sunny side of Cincinnati. Hey, welcome back to Daily Dose Radio. This is your farm-to-table fresh Bible study that is Rainforest certified. Yes, sir. And we're doing today verses 7 and 8 in Psalm 6. So have your Bible there. If you have it, go ahead and turn to it. Sit on down, find you a comfy spot, and let's talk about the Word of God today, verses 7 and 8 in Psalm 6. Let me read those for you. My eye is wasted from grieving. It is moved because of all my enemies. Remove from me all the workers of iniquity, for the Lord hears the sound when I cry. Well, that's verses 7 and 8 in Psalm 6. Verse 7 is really connected to verse 6, because in verse 7 we have the crying, and that's of course associated with the tears. I cause my couch to melt with my tears. My eye is wasted from grieving. So those two work together. We're continuing this idea of his suffering, which we began all the way back up there in verse 2. In verse 2 we had the bodily suffering, the feebleness, and the bones disturbed within. There's such a weight of the guilt of his sin that he's now thinking that, I'm going to die because of this, and, oh, Lord, you need to hurry up because there's not going to be anybody in hell that's going to praise your name, so you please deliver me now. Come hurry now and deliver me now. I will cause my couch to melt with tears, he says. And then he goes on to say, the eye is wasted from grieving. It is moved because of all my enemies. Now, this is the first time that we've heard about the enemies, but it nicely connects us with Psalm 5. In Psalm 5, we had the enemy clearly described for us. I was reading a commentary by Adam Clark. I think it was Adam Clark. And he was saying that there's a tradition that suggests that this psalm was written during the time after David had sinned with Bathsheba, or Uriah's wife, and that David had suffered from a disease that the Lord placed upon him after that sin. And so this prayer is written in response to that the grieving and the waxing of the disturbed nature of the bones, the feebleness of the body, and now the enemies rising up against him because of his sin is the reason why we have this written. So the enemies now are not just enemies because, but they're enemies who have risen up due to his sin. The Lord allows the enemy to rise up to punish us, to judge us. And so David's praying, Lord, don't judge me in your anger. Don't chastise me in your fury. Be gracious to me. Have mercy to me. Save me in your loving kindness. And then he, of course, has that great, how long is it going to take for this to happen? Because I'm headed towards the grave. I'm sliding towards the grave. So if you could hurry up and, do that work, it'd be great, because nobody in the grave is going to thank you. So if you want me to thank you in this life, you need to please deliver me, please, hurry. So I'm suffering in my distress. My eye is wasted. Here comes the enemies. They're rising up. And then we have this beautiful change in language beginning in verse 8. Remove from me all the workers of iniquity, for the Lord hears the sound when I cry. Here we have the first statement of peace and hope in this psalm. We haven't had it yet. It's been desperate because he's been crushed under the weight of his own sin. But now we see some relief coming. And join me tomorrow, because tomorrow we're going to see in verses 9 and 10 some more of this, supplication, which is really hopeful. It's the Lord hears the sound when I cry, and he's going to continue that theme in 9 and in 10. He's going to resolve this idea of the enemies. But who is the great enemy of the soul? Well, it's the deadness of our own selves. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what we need to deal with first and foremost, our own deadness. Join me tomorrow. We'll look at verses 9 and 10 on Daily Dose Radio. Thanks for listening to Daily Dose Radio. I'm David Smith. The music today has been performed by the Bluegrass Experiment. Thanks again for listening. I'll see you next time on Daily Dose Radio.